We know that Faker is a legend and that he is different from other pro players. But what exactly makes him special? Are other pro players unable to strategize as well as he does? Or does he simply have more game knowledge than them? No, it's none of these things. The reason Faker stands out so much is his exceptional movement skills. He makes almost all of his opponent's skills miss, lands his own abilities with a much higher success rate, confuses enemy players, and plays in an unpredictable manner most of the time. No matter how professional you are, facing an opponent like this is a massive problem. In this video, I will explain how Faker does it as quickly and clearly as possible. If you've noticed, even when there are no opponents around, Faker constantly moves in random directions. You can be sure that he doesn't consciously think about or calculate these movements. In fact, his brain has turned these movements into a reflex, and he repeats them instinctively all the time. When you try to replicate these movements in-game, you'll feel as if your mind is completely blank. That's because these movements are so random that the brain cannot associate any meaning with them, and that's what makes them so powerful. To master this technique, instead of moving with intent, practice short, random movements in different directions. Over time, this movement pattern will become a reflex and will sharpen naturally. You've probably seen Faker dodge abilities so perfectly that it almost looks like he's cheating. People think these dodges are unbelievable, even in professional esports matches. But in reality, it's not as superhuman as it seems. You just need to understand the logic behind it and train your reflexes accordingly. When a linear skill shot is coming toward you, moving backward or forward will not help you at all. Once you understand this, the rest becomes quite simple. To dodge a skill shot, you need to move exactly to the left or right. However, if you perform this movement at an angle that is too wide or too narrow instead of a perfect 90 degrees, you will end up also moving slightly forward or backward. This drastically reduces your chance of dodging because no character in the game has enough movement speed to dodge a skill shot diagonally. You can be sure of that. The moment you see a skill shot coming toward you, visualize a straight line following the skill's trajectory. Then, when it reaches your position, break that line at a 90-degree angle and move strictly along that new line. If you consistently perform this visualization as quickly as possible during a game, you'll realize that even if you move very slowly, almost no skill shots will hit you, at least in Platinum and lower ranks. And when you combine this technique with the extraordinary reflexes that develop over years of practice, you get results like these. In Faker's live streams, we often see him alt-tabbing unnecessarily or even making a chess move in the middle of a team fight. But he doesn't do this just to show off. This is actually a form of training for him. By doing this, he trains his brain to shift focus between different tasks at incredible speed and to recognize and analyze visual information in a fraction of a second. Thanks to this ability, he can quickly check different parts of the map and make strategic decisions in real time. For example, instead of checking the mini-map to see if your bot lane is in a position to roam, directly looking at the ADC player's perspective will help you make much better decisions. This is the most critical and fundamental part of the video because this is what truly makes Faker who he is. Even though he creates unpredictability with his random movements, he can still predict when and where his opponent will use their abilities by putting himself in their shoes. And he's usually right. For example, in this clip, when Irelia walks toward him, he moves backward, and when Irelia steps back, he moves forward. The terrifying part is that he executes these movements at the exact same time as his opponent, or even reacts before they do. He first puts himself in his opponent's position, then analyzes his own movements from their perspective, and makes a move accordingly. Then, to counter his own move, he makes another move, essentially outplaying himself before the opponent even has a chance. It sounds incredibly complex, and that's because it is. To pull this off, you need extraordinary multitasking ability, deep game knowledge, and years of experience. If he weren't so skilled at this, he wouldn't be much different from other pro players. In fact, at times, his critical mistakes have caused him to be seen as just an average pro rather than a legendary player. In this video, I've tried to explain what makes Faker so unique in the simplest and fastest way possible. I hope this information helps and improves your gameplay experience. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.